How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Branded Academy, the Legacy of Destruction, and Nationals Edition. We are very close to Nationals on my end. Some people have already had their Nationals, and this is the peak of the competitive season. This is where your build, your branded build, will matter the most throughout the year. Before we begin, we actually have a giveaway of the star of the show of this video, the Alba Leonidas, the Abyss Dragon, the original print, European print that I pulled myself from Dimension Force. So if you want this, make sure to comment down below what is your current favorite branded tech card, like the video, and subscribe. Most importantly, I'll be drawing the winner probably next week on Twitter, so follow me over there, and of course join our Discord community to win. This is awesome. This is a beautiful card. I'm really happy to be giving this away right when people might need this. So what we're going to be doing today is going to go over the deck list quickly, the deck list that I think is the right deck list for this national season, given the decks that you have to compete with. And then, most importantly, we're going to talk about the tech choices that you can use and what's the trade-offs, how to make those decisions, and most importantly, what the side deck looks like, because I think that matters a lot. So, before we start off with the deck list, shout out to Sleeve Chief for these amazing oversleeves. Check these out, right? It's Dragon Shield, and over that we have the Sleeve Chief oversleeves that are available, of course, in the website Gazo5 for the discount. A deck like this is recording pre rarity collection, so these Aluber is going to change. A lot of these cards are going to change, but you know, Brandon is an expensive deck. You gotta you gotta double sleeve it. Deck list quickly, then we're going to discuss the tech choices and the side deck. So the deck, I'm still playing 50 cards, not a whole lot different, just some tech choices here and there. I think the most improvement and innovation is in the side deck. Two Aluber, I'm still on the two Aluber. I think that your hands where you're really unplayable are the hands where you have too many normal summons. And when you have Cartesia, Quem, Albaz, and Aluber, and Kid, those are a lot of cards that only one of them usually will provide you value. So two Aluber is fine, and one Spring Ants Kid to round it out, because this can be special summoned, especially since we're playing High Spirits. It's going to happen more often than not. 3 Albaz, which is mandatory. 3 Cartesia. I was on the fence on like whether it's going to be 2 Cartesia or 3. I think it's always like when you're playing 3 Albion, which is the next card, of course, you really want to maximize on like seeing combos of this. So I think it still makes sense to play 3 of Cartesia and 3 of the Shrouded Dragon. Then we are playing 2 Quem. I think it's always like, especially in 50 cards, it's always fine to stick to just 2. And then we're playing 2 Tragedy, and we are also playing 2 Mercurier. And this is because we're playing Allure of Darkness. This is a tool that allows you to dig deeper into your board breakers, and obviously, this is how, like a lot of engine, a lot of card advantage, this is how you win games with Branded. And then only 1 Lubellion and 1 Serenir. I did play Magnamid for a while, but I cut it to make sure I can fit in another Cartesia, moved it to the side deck. And then, of course, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, because like national season, height of the competitive season, if you don't want to play this card, that's absolutely fine, but this is going to win you a lot of games if you know how to pilot the deck correctly. Moving on from the monsters of the deck to, you know, the most powerful part of the deck, the spells, always so impactful. 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Branded Opening, and 3 Deployment, which is going to be QCR in about a couple days, which is nice. No reason to discuss this too much. And then 3 Droplet, which is still going to be probably the best board breaker that you can run in the main. Putting cards in the graveyard, activating quick plays, and then sending them as cost. This is going to be really crucial for you to win. And then 3 Allure of Darkness, which is really important to make sure you can dig into your engine, your non-engine, and most importantly, post-side, this card becomes so much better because you're going to have a lot more value to draw off of it. And of course, it banishes your Mercurier and Tragedy, which are just insane advantage card. 3 Thrust, of course. I think this card is definitely a staple. It makes the deck so good. And then 2 High Spirits. You could decide to cut the in white. I think it's definitely fine to play like 2 of these. And I really like in white. I think in white allows you to play much better around hand traps, so I did opt to play it. And then the one-ofs that we like: Lost, Red, Talents, Burial, Sark, Called By, and then the traps. This is the 50, right? Pretty standard at this point. A lot of consistency, a lot of advantage cards. Then for the extra deck, really quickly, we're playing 2 Albion, Rindbrum, Albion, Albalenitus. This is for Mirrors, this is for Tenpai, this is for Voiceless, this is even now for Snake Eyes, because they will usually end on something like a Hope Harbinger nowadays. And I think this card is solid, right? It's a good send. It's either this or Masquerade. It might be Masquerade at the end just to make sure you don't go into time, but Albalenitus is a fire card. And then rounded out, Titanic Lubellion, 2 Mirror Jade, of course, and 2 Granguignol. I think this now, with like making sure you can puppet lock under the right circumstances, you have to be playing 2 Granguignol. And then 1 Queritus, 1 Furious, which I think is crucial for this deck. If you were playing something like Patchwork Engine, then you would maybe play Magnum just because it's more of an advantage card. And then Stepelia and Guardian Chimera. Now, to the most important part, the side deck, right? I'll show you my side deck and start like discussing a little bit what are the options that you can experiment with. So first of all, there are some pretty standard cards here, right? Now, I think you would always want Druzen Magnemite, like a couple Bestials, just because it's engine, it's still a good interruption. You already have 1 Bestial in the main deck, so playing 3 is like fine, right? I do like having this as like a 2-of slot that, this outs a lot of things that sometimes will be hard for you to out. And yeah, now, a combination of a board breaker slash sort of like a preventative approach to one of the cards that is seeing a lot of play in decks right now, which is Dimensional Barrier. Now, what I decided to do is play, right, your side deck in Branded is kind of open. Since you're playing 50, it's not going to be always that consistent, so you want cards that either provide you a lot of value when you draw them, or just go nuts as a 3-of, right? Or can be searchable. So what I decided to do is play 3 Ash and 3 Crossout, because Ash, obviously against Snake Eye, but mostly like Tenpai Dragon, if you want to survive, this card can help you, right? Combine that with Crossout and the 1-of D-Barrier and Daruma Cannon for your thrust target. It provides such a wide net of utility, all of these cards combined, that I think is really, really worth running. So you're gonna be seeing more D-Barrier because Tenpai Dragon is in the format and they brought that in, and we have to deal with it now. My testing, my experimentation, I felt like a combination of this could be offensive if you use it with Thrust, so it's not a dead card only for Crossout. This, if you play it at 3, it's a good interruption against a lot of decks, against Branded, against Chimera, against Tenpai, against Snake Eye. It's just the best hand trap in the format, obviously. And then Crossout, if you have these 2 in your deck, that already provides you so much value alongside Bestials, Droplet, and Call by the Grave, which are already in your deck, that you can fight off, making sure that you protect your Puppet Lock, right? If you run into like the killer of the Puppet Lock is like either a Droplet, a Called By, a Bestial, you run all of these already in your deck, and this suite of cards, it's only 7 cards, sorry, it provides you with a ton of protection. So I think this, alongside this, I did think about Simul Archfiends, but I think D-Barrier is just better because it hits the decks like Pearly, Branded, Chimera, and of course Tenpai, right? It doesn't cover the Snake Eyes matchup, but it works much better with Crossout. You're not going to be like Simul Archfiends, like hitting that with Crossout and Branded's like not that big a deal, right? So the 2 Bestials and this package with Daruma being a thrust target, I think it's a really well-rounded side deck, right? So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 more cards. Now, there's a few cards that I want to discuss, and they are here, right? Now, we only have 5 slots, right? Book of Eclipse, my thinking was that some builds, and I'm still looking at it, right? You might want to swap the Allure for Eclipse, and this is what I did in my last regional, Phantom Nightmare format, and it really worked. Like, this card is really, really solid. This might even make it into the main deck, just because it's so good. And in addition to all like the great value that it provides, protection, offensive effect, it baits an Ash Blossom, right? Evenly Matched is a really good card because a lot of the decks now will lose to it. Like Snake Eye can lose to it really easily. And a lot of decks just like there's no Omni Negates, right? So this card provides a ton of value. And in Branded, the nice thing about Evenly Matched is that if you clean up the field and you lose your battle phase essentially, you can still Puppet Lock, set up a Puppet Lock in main phase too, which I think is why this card is so great. Droll, I think it's sort of like a format where people will not be playing around Droll. This will not hurt you if you play it. And you need, like, anything here in the side needs to provide a ton of value. So Droll might be it. And then Brightest Blazing Branded King is still an option if you want to switch it out for Daruma. This card is just really good. Negating all the cards on the field without targeting can hit a lot of decks in the right spot, right? So we are looking at 5 more cards because we already have 3, 3, and then 4, which is 10, right? Probably, most likely what I would do is something like this, or these could be like 2 Lightning Storms, for example. That could also be pretty solid, right? Because you have Thrust, it could be Lightning Storm, and could be Duster. That could be definitely worth it. So your side deck is going to be something like this. And I think this theory really holds well because it provides you with the most utility against the most decks. And I think this is what's going to be important in this format, where you are able to capitalize on high value cards. Because remember, you're playing 50 cards in your deck. The deck is not going to be as consistent in seeing side deck cards, so you need them to do a lot. And you also need to side in quite a lot when you do side, right? I think this is just like, I would really recommend this package of Deep Barriers and Crossout, right? I do really like Evenly Matched. And then you can play Shaddoll Dragon even if you want to out stuff. Cosmic, I think, is fine. It's okay if you are, like, it could be something to consider against Calamity, right? So there is some thinking to be done there still. But I think this is sort of like my approach to this format. It's probably going to look something very similar to what we just saw, because I think that the engine of the deck and the main deck is pretty much known, except for like small tweaks. If you're not comfortable, like I see a lot of people like just don't play High Spirits, stuff like that. You should definitely consider that. But the main deck is like so solved that you need to create a lot of innovation in the side deck. And I think this is what's going to be winning you games. So let me know what you thought about this. And of course, mention and comment your tech choices down below to get a chance at winning this beautiful Albalenodus, the Abyss Dragon original print from the EU. I know a lot of people like that. And of course, like, subscribe to join the giveaway. Looking forward to hear your comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.